What's going on, Falcon fan? This is your boy Ricondo coming back at you with another video. Yes, sir. Going back, we're going to talk about the owner of the Atlanta Falcons had his press conference today to kind of lay out, his plans for this franchise moving forward. Decision he decided to make to, clean house. The roles of the three individuals, the new three individuals, the president of football, the GM, and the head coach. We're going to talk about that. Um, Also, we're going to talk about, you know, the what he said about Michael Penix Jr. And last but not least, about trying to retain some coaches here. We had some success here, right? Some of these coordinators, in particular, Jeff Albrecht. We'll talk about that. We just heard from report came out that the Atlanta Falcons actually blocked um Jeff Albrecht for being talked to by the Dallas Cowboys. They was trying to bring him in to be probably be one of the defensive coordinators, and the Atlanta Falcons blocked that because in actuality, he might be back. Right, we don't know who the head coach is going to be, and the work that Jeff Albrecht was going to put in with this young defensive players, to come in and do that. So, at the end of the day, he might be let go anyway. Like I said, you never know about the residue of having the old regime still here. You're trying to clean house on everything. So, but it sounds like that Arthur Blank was really impressed with Jeff Albrecht. We'll talk about that in just a minute. So, guys, with that being said, if you have not already, go ahead and please subscribe to the channel. Please hit that notification bell so you're not dropping another video. Please hit the like button so I know you guys are here to talk about. Then please share my video throughout the YouTube universe so more people can come in here and talk about. That's right, these Atlanta Falcons. New hat today. Told you guys until we actually get a head coach, right, and GM and all this stuff. I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna present another hat, right? Um, Hopefully it don't take that long. And I don't even know if I got that many hats, but we're gonna see. I think we probably get a head coach. We probably get the staff finalized in probably like 2 weeks, to be honest with you. This is not going to be something that's fast. You would expect them to do their due diligence, especially when they're hiring those two consulting firms that they hired. So I don't expect it to be really fast. Um, just hold on and put in the chat how you guys like my new hat. Well, it's not new, the hat up that I'm rocking today. Hold on just a minute, guys. Oh, I'm back. All right. All right, guys, let's get into it. So I actually watched the press conference about 2.5 times to kind of just get an understanding what Mr. Blank was saying today, because you don't want to miss anything and kind of get an idea of his mindset and the reason he decided to clean house, right? So the first thing we're gonna talk about today is just that. What caused him to go ahead and clean house at this point in time? So just going back to the history, what's going on? Going back to the history of Mr. Blank, he usually give coaches about 3 years, right? Now he gave Terry Fontenot 5, um, but he used to give coaches 3 years to be able to turn this thing around. But it was evident from hearing him today that he was not willing to actually give those get those 3 years. He just was not able to get those 3 years. Now I can tell you this based off the way he talked, it sounds like to me that this decision was made way before his whole 4 game winning streak, right? I don't think that that 4 game winning streak had anything to do with the decision that Arthur Blank. Once he realized that this team was not going to have a winning record and they were not going to make the playoffs, I think the decision had been made. And I don't think that Raheem Morris or Terry Fontenot could have did anything about it. I think what he learned from the consultant firm kind of opened up his eyes to certain things, and we're going to talk about some of those things in just a minute about why the he went on to make the decision he make, right? So, we all know Arthur Blank to be a great businessman, right? He got a lot of businesses. Of course, he's a billionaire, so of course he's been very successful in business. And some of the things that you know, as somebody that's over a lot of things and over stuff, you have to be able to kind of take yourself away from the personal and the business side, right? Because if you do that, the personal business side, that's where you're going to actually start to kind of blur lines, right? And one of the things that I took from it, what he said was that what the firm kind of found out was the lack of accountability, right? Accountability and the communication, a lack of vision, right? That's one of the things that surprised them. They found out that when talking to the different people around the organization, seemed like everybody wasn't on the same page of the vision of the team going forward. The accountability piece is huge, right? And for me, being a former individual in the military, I think that is 100%. You have to hold people accountable, man, right? You can have your buddies and your friends and things like this, but at the end of the day, the fact that he only waited 2 years is that he felt like this team just underperformed, right? We all felt that way, right? And at the same time, you can look at some of the good things that they did, but in this weak division, um, the ups and downs, the roller coaster ride that this team took us on the last 2 years, it was enough for him to decide that this group wasn't the right leadership that he wanted to lead. This franchise moving in the right direction, right? So that health check that they did, it determined, like I said, no accountability, lack of communication, lack of clear vision, and most of the time, you know, you have that whole loyalty thing to your boys and things like that. That's where when you have loyalty, when it comes to business and performance, and it's performance based, you know, product that you're trying to put out. And if you have that loyalty, you can screw yourself, right? Now I talked about it a couple of videos ago when I talked about Raheem Morris hiring two novice, coordinators. That's why I say he did to himself, right? Because he wanted to, he liked Zach Robinson, and he felt like Zach Robinson, and he liked Jimmy Lake, and he felt like Jimmy Lake, was he's getting kind of himself giving those guys opportunities, right? That's what he did. Gonna get these guys opportunities. These guys got bright futures and things like that. But at the same time, it's a results based business. So when they're not giving results that you expect, that you sold, right? Because it's not like he came in and said, "This is a rebuilding team. We're going to take our time and we're going to build this thing the right way." That's not what he said, right? Go back 2 years. Go back to his press conference. This team was a quarterback away. They brought in two quarterbacks. Quarterback away. He said, "The reason I'm here because you went 7-9, 7-10." That's what he said. Go back and listen. I'm telling you, go back and listen to the videos. So he sold something that he did not produce. That's just that simple, right? All the good things and all that stuff goes out the window. And when you look at the numbers, because people lie, but numbers do not lie, guys, right? Third down percentage. Go look at third down percentage offense of this underperforming offense that this Atlanta Falcons team had. They underperformed. It's just that simple. No matter who they had up under center, right? They underperformed. Third down percentage tell you. The situational football tells you, right? And for him, he didn't try to make any adjustments. He came out week in and week out. We got to figure out a way. We got to find a way to win the game. We got to find a way. But the numbers is telling you, if you fix these things right here, you probably would win. So your loyalty and not holding people accountable, that's what happened, right? That's what happened. Now everything is not going to be peaches and cream, and you expect everything to go as planned. But when you put a 2 year product out there, I mean, we started off 6-3 last year. Then we sputtered down the stretch, right? We lost 6 of the last 8 games. 6-3, 6 of the last 8 games. This year we sputtered right. We was up and down all year. That's what we did. Up and down the year. A great game in Minnesota. Come back week 3, lay an egg. A great game against the Commanders. Great game against Buffalo. Go to San Francisco, lay an egg. Come back, lay an egg against uh, um the Miami Dolphins. You see what I'm saying? Like it's just up and down inconsistencies. And if you look at the numbers tell it all, right? The reasons why we did not achieve and we underperformed. And the problem what I had with Raheem was his lack of accountability. Now you can say he did it behind his closed doors or whatever, but it didn't show the results. So if you held people accountable behind closed doors, when they got back on the field, the same thing was happening over and over again. Special teams, right? Special teams was probably one of the worst special teams performances where I seen from Atlanta Falcons in a long time, and they make any changes there. Kept status quo, not holding people accountable, right? If you're not willing as a leader to hold people accountable, those are the kind of things you're going to get. And this is where Arthur Blank decided that because your leadership style and the way you want to go by doing things, not holding people accountable, keeping your loyalty to the end, you're gonna die on your sword. And that's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened to Raheem Morris. Now, I think Terry Fontenot kind of fell up on a different boat because I think his problem was just two coaches that underperformed up under him, right? So Raheem Morris kind of doomed Terry Fontenot as well. That's pretty much what happened. But in a nutshell, it had nothing to do. So we go back to my other video when I said it probably had something to do with drafting the quarterbacks and that didn't pan out. It had nothing to do with the quarterbacks being drafted. They made that decision. As an organization, he actually mentioned that they all, you know, at the discussions they agreed that bringing in Kirk Cousins and drafting Michael Penix was the right move because they wanted to win now and try to win for the future. That's what the idea. So it had nothing to do with the quarterback position. It had more to do that this team that they had assembled and sold goods to the owner, to the fans that they was going to be better, and they underperformed. That's just simply that. That's why when you look at what Arthur Blank was saying today, and like I said, I really believe that once the owner realized that this team was not going to have a winning seating, was not going to be in the playoffs, the decision had been made. Those 4 games that the Atlanta Falcons played in the season had little to do with anything that was what was going to make his decision. If he went 4-0 in those last games, it didn't matter. So the fact that the owner just waited his time, he could have did it in the middle of the season, but he had already decided, right? If you go back to some reports, they had already been talking to Matt Ryan behind the scenes, right? That's why the rumors come out that he was going to have some role in the front office, right? Because they had already made the decision way back before those 4 games started. So everybody running the high on how the Atlanta Falcons look. Now you have to tip your hat off to the players and the coachings, right? Because they went out and did the thing but the problem is it was a little too late. It's just that simple. It's a little too late, right? And the truth be told, some of those same issues that was popping up during the season still showed up in those 4 games. They just somehow pulled it out, right? You go look at the Los Angeles Rams games. The Atlanta Falcons scored 6 points in the second half. They almost blew that game, right? They almost blew the game against the Aints at the end, right? They had 19 penalties on Thursday Night Football against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You don't supposed to win a game. You have 19 penalties, right? Just Kirk Cousins and Kyle Pitts had played miraculous in that game. That's what happened. They played really, really well. That's why they won that game. But don't make it seem like they made this major turnaround No, the numbers still speak for themselves during that time. So let's be honest with ourselves. Everybody was so high about the 4 game win streak. Now I'm a Falcon fan, so yes, I'm happy about it. But I think the decision had been made way before that. And if you go down the timeline, I think everybody else was under the same impression. When you lose to the New York Jets, um, it's probably over. Then you get blown out at home against Seattle. Like, man, it's done. It's a done deal, man. They had already made. I don't think those 4 games would have mattered either way, right? You can say, well, if they would have lost 4 games, he definitely would have got fired. Well, it didn't matter. 4 games or not, it did not matter. Let's get some of these comments in. While we keep moving here. Eddie said, I will have clean house too. If the next coach is unsuccessful, it will be because the coach hired his own staff with no organization excuses for being controlled. Yeah, yeah. I mean, at this point, so the whole clean house thing, is they're going in the right direction. Now, it's never 100% guarantee anything in life, right? Pretty much most of the times, nothing 100% guaranteed. So when they do bring in whoever they're gonna bring in as president of football, a GM, and a head coach, there's no guarantee that they're gonna be able to do what they're supposed to do, right? Because if you knew exactly that the person you bring in is gonna take you to the Super Bowl, everybody would do that, right? So, but you have to and I think the biggest thing is you have to have a clear vision, right? And you have to create a identity, right? This is how we play. This is how we structure. This is how we're going to do business, right? And it is organizations in the NFL that what you're going to get out of that team each and every season. It's just that simple. You know what you're going to get when you go and look at a franchise like the Pittsburgh Steelers. You know they're going to play hard. They're going to compete, right? And you're gonna get some hard nosed football guys hitting, flying all over the field. That's what you're going to get every year from the Pittsburgh Steelers. Baltimore Ravens, it's going to be different, right? But they still got Ozzie Newsome there, right? They still got guys that's already built that foundation up top. So when you bring in a coach, you're right. They call it the Ravens way, right? That's what you're going to get, right? It's just organizations around the league that you can look at and be like, I know what I'm gonna get when I go play that team. That's what we're gonna get. When you play the Atlanta Falcons, you didn't know, right? I mean, I coined the thing is the get right team in the middle of the season, right? Because if you wanted to get your team right, I mean, let's go back to Miami Dolphins. They was. I mean, now he did finally get fired today, Mike McDaniels, but before that Atlanta Falcons game, Miami Dolphins, I thought he might have got fired before the end of the season. But the way they came out and dominated the Atlanta Falcons, they went on a win streak after that. The Atlanta Falcons was the get right team, right? The Carolina Panthers, after week 2, they was down, hadn't won a game. They played Atlanta Falcons in week 3. The Atlanta Falcons, the get right team. The San Francisco 49ers, they lose their all pro linebacker, right? Playing on a short week, a lot of injuries on defense. They come out on the Sunday night football. They beat the Atlanta Falcons. Get right team. That's what our identity was, right? If you play the Atlanta Falcons, and that's the up and down, right? But then when you don't have any expectations, you come out and you beat the Buffalo Bills. You come out and you beat the Los Angeles Rams. That's is where they had to clean house. That's why they had to start over because the vision, the identity, was just not there. Do I like football? 100%. He said, do I like the Falcons? 100%. Yes, yes. Yes to all those. Um, what I was saying, Harbaugh and Raheem are similar. Harbaugh didn't work, won't cut one cut with Todd Monken, and look what happened. Just making a point. Yeah, like I said, accountability and loyalty. You 100% right. I mean, you can look at Kirby Smart. Kirby Smart the same way, right? He won't get rid of Mike Bobo. He like his quarterback that always had a dream of being the quarterback for the University of Georgia, right? I mean, look at Kirby Smart, man. One of the best programs in the country, and we never have a 5-star quarterback just all world. Why is that? Because he loyal to his players, and they underperform, right? Stetson Bennett was an anomaly. Stetson Bennett was an anomaly. It's just simply that he was a guy that nobody never picked up. Probably had no stars. Came in walk on, and now he's a legend at Georgia. But that's the loyalty and accountability. Jake Fromm, right? Let's talk about Jake Fromm, right? We had Justin Fields. You recruited Justin Fields, but then you started Jake Fromm over him. Like the loyalty. That's what happens. That's what happens, man. Right? And I get it. I get it. But he's lucky that he's able to pull 2 championships out of there, right? And make things happen. But at some point, that gets you in. You talked about John Harbaugh. Yeah, Todd Monkey, my guy, dude. You ain't accomplished nothing with Todd Monkey. You ain't went to the Super Bowl. Why are you so loyal to him, right? So that's the point I'm making. Like, if they bring in John Harbaugh, he needs to think about and change the way his philosophies. But that's why they bring in, the president, the GM, and the coach together for they can all be aligned and have the same vision moving forward. That's what you want to see. Matt Ryan had been interviewing coaches on his podcast. Man, Matt Ryan is going to do a really good job. Like, one thing about a quarterback, right? And I'm not just talking about Matt Ryan. I'm talking about most all quarterbacks. They know football. They have to know all the defense, all the defenses. Think about how many defenses coaches Matt Ryan went against in his 14-year season. Think about that, right? Then think about how he has to know every position on the offense, what all the linemen doing, all the receivers, running backs, tight ends, what all they're doing for 14 seasons. He ran an organization for 14 seasons. So I think he's going to be good. Now, taking evaluation, all that, that's not going to be his role. His role is to be the president of football, the GM. That's their job, right? And he's the advisement, right? The coach, that's their job to go out and evaluate talent. So I think he's going to be a really good job because he can see when something ain't doing like it's supposed to do because he did it for so long, right? Let's not forget who the most winning quarterback in Atlanta Falcons history, right? Matter of fact, he's the only quarterback that probably has a winning turn a tenure here in Atlanta. So yes, 100%. What's up, Millie Miz? What's up, man? Since you heard from you in a long time. Eddie says, however, I wouldn't be surprised if the new bring in 1 or 2 old coaches just for some insight, even if the quality control coach, strength coach is somebody that makes sense with yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong now. You're gonna hire familiarity. That's what you do, right? And that's in any profession. To be honest with you, you hire somebody that you're comfortable with, that you can work with, right, and that you trust, right. That's really what you really boils down to. But at the same time, when you do hire somebody that you trust, they got to understand that if they don't produce, it's black and white. You can't have like, yeah, man, I love you, but you know, we're gonna give you another chance. Nah, I love you, bro, but you ain't getting it done. And that's what it boils down to, right? This results business. You know what you sign up for when you start to do this. So that's where I think you know just the former regime made their mistakes. Just that simple. and that's the reason why he cleaned house, right? See if I got any more quotes that he said. Yep. He felt like a fan himself, so he felt the fans pain, right? The just up and down every why we can't win, all this stuff. He felt it, right? Um, and he's an ambassador for the fans, guys. Like I heard somebody say on one of the news channels today that when they got season tickets with the Dolphins, and the one of the fans saying they're not renewing their tickets, right? That same thing happened to me at the game. A fan said they're done. They're not renewing their tickets. They're done because ain't nothing gonna change. That's what they were saying. So he's 100% right. Um, they was losing this fan base, right? Because like I said, they sold us a bill of goods. Now they came out and said we're in a rebuilding and we're going to get this thing right in a couple of years. Just watch out. No, that's not what he said. He came out and said that we're not going to be drafting high again. We're a playoff team. We're going to outrun the soft. All this stuff. None of that stuff took place. None of it. Right. And then he came in next season. We're not going to do any talking. We're going to let our play do all the talking. None of it was good enough. Just that simple. Not just that simple. Like I said, Mr. Blank, listen to these different podcasts. I hope you do listen to mine. Hope you do. I know, man, because we be hitting on the nail. I can tell you what, man. Nobody knows this team like we do, right? Because we live it in and out, and just like the title say, real Falcon fan. I'm here for the good, the bad, and the ugly. So that's just the way the cookie crumbles on that. All right, let's go to the next topic. All right. So anybody got any questions about why um Arthur Blank decided to clean house? Like I said, the major key was they just did not perform to the level he thought they should perform in these last 2 seasons. And for him, 2 seasons was enough. He was not willing to give a third season, right? Um, Lack of communication, lack of accountability, lack of vision, and too much loyalty that where people is not being held accountable. That that's the reason why he decided to clean house. All right. So with that being said, right, clean house. He talked about the new direction for this franchise, and they're creating a new role, which is going to be president of football. Now, most of people think it's going to be Matt Ryan, and we don't really know that 100% sure because he is interviewing more than just Matt Ryan. He bringing in other candidates. He's interviewing all the candidates, and we never know, those other candidates could blow Matt Ryan out the water. About their vision and what they think they could be able to bring to this organization. But I think 90% of the people believe that it's going to be Matt Ryan that's going to be in that president of football role. Now, this is a new role for Atlanta Falcons. This is something that they have not had before. Unless you want to say Rich McKay kind of filled that role, but this is the role where this whoever the candidate is going to come in, and he's going to actually sit down and be interviewed for the GM and the head coaches as well. So did mention that the president of football will be the first person they hire, right? So when I talked about it's going to take time to get in the coach and things like that, it will, because they're trying to get the president hired and probably get hired by this weekend, more than likely, right? They're doing interviews today and tomorrow, and so we might hear something probably Saturday or Sunday who's going to be the president of football for this team moving forward. I really believe that that's going to be the way they go. All right. So that president role is going to be is to collaborate with the GM and the head coach, and they actually going to work for the president more than pretty much what he said. So he's not dictating how they do their job, but they're going to work for him. They're going to report to him, and he's going to provide guidance and things like that on what should be the vision, all those guys come together and have that kumbaya moment and come together and come with a consensus of how they move this football team forward. But the president is going to the GM and the head coach work for the president, and the president reports to Arthur Blank himself. So that's the role of the president. Um, he wanted to make sure to emphasize that the president is not the GM. The president is not the head coach. Those guys have their own specific roles that they will be doing. So the president is just the pretty much over the whole football program, and then the GM and the head coach is going to do what they were hired to do, right? So when you talk about a general manager that comes in is all personnel, right? The scouting department, the pro scouts, the college scouts, all your regional scouts and things like that. The GM would be over that program 100%, right? They're going to probably work in unison with the head coach and his coaches to make sure they get the vision of scheme and and right now we look at the players here and how you can utilize the players you got and fill the holes that you think you might need to fill, from a coaching standpoint to come in, and then all those guys will collaborate together, get with the president. The president pretty much goes back up to the owner and lay out the details of what this football team is going to look like moving forward. The biggest thing is for these three guys for these three guys to all be lock and step, right? That's what you want. You want these guys to all have the same, and the biggest word that he talked about was the same vision, right? The lack of clarity in the vision, what you want to see from your football program. So those will be the roles. You got the president of football, you got the general manager, and then the head coach, right? All right. So I anticipate this to take 2 weeks. If you go back 2 years ago, if you guys recall, it was not a fast process. They actually took their time as well in that process. They were just hiring a head coach at the time, and it still took a while. So this probably won't be a fast process. I do, anticipate them probably hiring the president by this weekend, since they're doing interviews today and tomorrow. But the GM and head coach might take a little bit longer. You have to factor in still playoff games going on, right? Especially for coaches, right? For those coaches spots, right? We just got a notification that they requested to talk to Robert Saleh, right? If they bring in a guy like Robert Saleh, we know that Jeff Ulbrich probably is somebody that's definitely could stay here to be the defensive coordinator. Those guys work really well with the New York Jets, right? Especially on the defense side. It was top 5 in defense pretty much every year that um, that tandem was together. So you like that. Only thing about that, you need to hire a good offensive coordinator if Robert Saleh do come in to be the head coach for Atlanta Falcons. But he's still in the playoffs, so that timeline and when he can be interviewed, it's going to be questioned, right? So they played. I think they play this weekend. They play this weekend. He might can get interviewed next week, right? We already heard John Harbaugh is waiting to put out his interview next week. Now Clint Kubiak actually had a bye, so he probably can get interviewed this week if they wanted to. But at the same time, I don't know if they're going to be hiring a coach before they even got a president or a GM in. So that's the things we got to think about on the coaching search. But I can tell you now there are 8 coaches open since Mike McDaniel has been out. Like I said, somebody's not getting their first choice, right? Right? Somebody's not getting their first choice. It's just that simple. It's too many coaching openings, and then it's rumored that some other guys that's playing this weekend could definitely be on the hot seat as well. Guys like Matt LaFleur, guys like Sean McDermott, and crazy to say it, but guys like Mike Tomlin as well. So those 3 open up, man. The candidate pool just got larger with those 3 guys coming into the market, but the coaching vacancies got larger as well. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens after these wild card games this weekend. and we'll just have to see how how that's going to go. Let's look at some more. They need a quarterback. Penix ain't the answer. We're going to talk about Michael Penix in just a minute. Harbaugh and McDaniel sounds awful damn good. Yeah, man, that would be sweet. That would be sweet if they could somehow pull it off. John Harbaugh being the head coach, and then Mike McDaniel's coming in being the OC. That would be really good, right? I don't think the fact we ever get good things though, man. Um, so we just have to wait to see what happens. Um, but guys, there you have those are roles, right? Those are three roles. Those are three vacancies that we're waiting on. And this is pretty much once these guys get in place, we can take a look and see how this team is going to be shaped, right? I talked yesterday about the foundational pieces that we have here, um, and these guys will come in and actually take that foundation and make something beautiful out of it, right? Um, let's see, can they be the great architect and build something, the Eiffel Tower, right? The Empire State Building, you know, the Egyptian pyramids, because that's always a mystery how they got built, right? Something real awesome. Let's see, can these guys do something like that, right? Um, wishful thinking, but let's see, can they make it happen? All right. Next topic is Michael Penix Jr. So we talked about this yesterday, and I talked about Atlanta Falcons being one of the most attractive jobs, right? The only hesitant is the quarterback position, right? The jury is still out on the quarterback position. However, today, Mr. Blank was asked, do he think Michael Penix is a franchise quarterback? And he said yes, he do think Michael Penix is a franchise quarterback, right? So with that being said, right, the question is it a mandate for the head coach to also think that, right? Is it a mandate for the GM to also think that? And if that is the case, that kind of would make things a little um, murky, right? Because you want these guys to come in and have their own vision, right? They don't want to have to come in and be like, "Yeah, we got to ride with Michael Penix." If they don't believe in Michael Penix, now if they believe in him, oh well, right? Um, and that's great. But if they don't, you don't want them to come in and already have to come in to a quarterback that they don't believe in, right? Now, personally, I think Michael Penix has potential to be a franchise quarterback. The jury's still out though. Do I think he's one yet? No, I don't. And I'm not going to sit here and try to say that because he has not played enough games in the NFL either direction. So to say he's a bust, to say that wouldn't be fair as well, right? And to say that he is the franchise, that's definitely wouldn't be fair. So I'm not going to say that he's the franchise and he's not the franchise. What I'm trying to say is that I seen potential. Um, I seen that he has the capability to potentially be the franchise quarterback. The question is can you get the right coaching in, right? Because I don't care what nobody says, coaching matters, especially to a young quarterback. It really do matter. You look at Drake May, the way he looked last year and the way he looked this year. We're talking about Drake May being in a MVP race with Matthew Stafford, right? Look at Bo Nix. We seen Bo Nix at Auburn for 3 seasons. We've seen him in 3 seasons. Now he had a year with Oregon right out there playing some really good football with Oregon. But we seen Bo Nix. But look what Sean Payton was able to do with him, right? Coaching matters, right? And you Raheem Morris set Michael Penix up, a guy that still trying to learn how to call offense. I think Zach Robinson is a bright young offensive coordinator, but he was not ready yet to try to groom a Michael Penix Jr. Man, right? Didn't set the guy up for success, and you can tell that Zach Robinson knows them because when he had a veteran and Kirk Cousins, some of we still had the same issues, right? If you take away Kirk Cousins games against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, right? Go look at his numbers. You take away his games against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 3 games he played against Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Go look at those games. Those games he played lights out. He played lights out in those games. But the rest of the games was so, right? People say Kirk played so well. Kirk played the best he could. Think about it, he played 14 seasons, so he's gonna play decent enough because he's been in the league a long time. But when you get you put a offensive coordinator that really not a quarterback whisperer like that, and you get him a young quarterback, it's going to be some ups and downs, man. And that's what we see like Michael Penix. So with all that being said, I don't know if Michael Penix is a franchise, right? Arthur Blank thinks he is the franchise, and the question is, do will the new GM and head coach feel the same way? Right? Either way it goes, they're gonna have to bring in a quarterback, because we kind of figure Michael Penix will not be ready to start the season, right? Especially OTAs and mandatory minicamp and things like that. We know he's not going to be ready for that, so they're gonna have to bring in a veteran quarterback. I mentioned yesterday, Kirk Cousins is out the door. He's going to be a post-June cut. You can listen to the way Arthur Blank talked about him today. He didn't say he's the future. He said we're going to decide with Kurt later on. That's what he said, which pretty much means that he's going to be out. So Kirk Cousins is going to be out the door. They're going to bring in a veteran quarterback, right? Um, Malik Willis played this weekend since Jordan Love is going to be out. Malik Willis maybe make himself a lot of money, right? He's going to be a free agent. So, they could make a decision to bring a guy like Malik Willis in, right? Or a Jameis Winston, like I said, or Russell Wilson. If you think Michael Penix that franchise, you're going to bring in a guy like a Bridge, right? And to hold ship down until Michael Penix is ready, right? So I don't know, what direction they go in, but like I said, we heard from the owner, he thinks he is a franchise quarterback. But like I said, does that mean the GM and the head coach are going to feel the same way? What about the president of football? Do they feel the same way? Those are things that, when I say you got to have communication and vision and clarity on that vision, they all got to be lockstep. So they all come in and said that they're going to ride their coattails on Michael Penix Jr., right? They all got to come in and say that, right? And hope it works out for them. Because if it don't, we're going to be back in the same boat with trying to figure out to find a quarterback, right? That's going to be the thing, right? We already know what the owner thinks. He said it, right? Now we're going to know if the coach and the GM and the president of football feel the same way, right? So that's the word on Michael Penix Jr. I kind of figured this was going to be direction way. I mean, they drafted the guy number 8th overall, but at the same time, so many people say that he didn't play well. That's not accurate. He was not terrible. He only had 5 interceptions. It's not like he was a turnover machine. He was inconsistent, man. Just like young rookie quarterbacks. I want you to tell me how Cam Ward looked this year, right? Rookie quarterback. He has played more games than Michael Penix has played in his career. Cam Ward has played more games than Michael Penix has played in his career. And they believe Cam Ward is the franchise quarterback. I'm just trying to, you got to put it in context, guys, because when you try to already call a guy a bust and he's not good, he ain't played enough games yet. He's not even played a full season, and you guys already giving up on him. The injury thing is another thing in its own self, right? Can't stay healthy, right? The best ability is availability. I get that, but for you to say that he's not in the franchise when he hasn't even played a whole season yet, it's not fair. And you have to look at, like I said, coaching matters, right? So a lot of young quarterbacks has been screwed because they didn't get coached the right way, and they end up out the league. Look at Sam Darnold, right? got the number 1 seed in the NFC, and everybody thought he was. If you guys remember, they were saying he was seeing ghosts, right? He was in with the New York Jets, right? Because he was jittery, right, in that pocket because they was coming at him. He was saying ghost, man. He was throwing balls before players even got around his feet, right? But look at him now, right? All I'm saying is the jury's still out on him. So I'm not signing saying that he's the guy. I'm just saying that he hasn't even played a whole season yet, and y'all already don't throw him to the wolves. Like, that's ridiculous. Like, it's not fair. So, I mean, he got potential. Will he live up to it? Jury's still out. So, but we do know what the owner thinks, what he said today. The question is the GM, president, and the coach feel the same way? So let me know what you think about Michael P, man. We got. See if I ever seen that one. He said, I want my father to be. I can't say that word. Not gonna be Okafor, right? I think Ober has enough respect around the league from all these free agent coaches to keep his job here. Yep. That is true. That is true. Let's see here. He's not a buzz. He's not a sister either, but he's not a star either. But he is. He's a lemon though. We don't know, man. We just got to find out. I think the investment that was put in on him is worth finding out. That's the point I'm making, right? Number 8th overall pick. The investment you put in on a number 8th overall pick is worth finding out, and he ain't even played the whole season yet. That's just my point. I want the Falcons to draft Drake May. Yeah, he went number 3 overall though. Said MPJ had brand new knees. The owner said, yeah, he said he should be better than what he was. And one thing that was mentioned, right, that he didn't tear the same knee that he had back in college. It was his other knee. So, whatever that's worth. Yeah, now he got 2 bad knees, I guess. We'll just have to see how that pans out. Pennies will get an opportunity, but he have to show superb improvement fast as a pro. No, like it's a microwave society. You got to show improvement fast, right? You got to show improvement fast. No matter who his coach is, we don't care. We don't care if you don't get coached right. Improve. Like I get it. I understand what you guys are saying, but he got to show it fast. There's a team already looking at Malik Willis like yesterday, tried to trade for him. And here too. Okay, yeah. That don't mean the Atlanta Falcons can't look at him too. You know what I'm saying? Kurt had 6 interceptions. Exactly, man. Like I don't know why y'all so hyped about Kirk Cousins because he won games. Those games didn't count. They didn't matter. The owner had already decided what they was going to do with the team when Kirk started playing. I'm just telling you, before he started winning those 4 games, nobody cared about those 4 games. I can take those games and throw them in the trash. They didn't matter, 100%. I mean, I guess they matter for like MP, James Pierce Jr. sacks and Bijan, going over 2,200. He had 2,298 yards. Guys, I thought sure he went over 2,300. Only had 2,298. Damn. I couldn't give him 2 more yards. Come on, man. That makes you upset right there. But there you have it, guys. That's Michael Penix Jr. Definitely want to hear your guys' opinion on that because is he going to be the new Matt Ryan, right? And what I mean by that is polarizing. I mean, the kid they haven't even played a whole season yet. Y'all already throwing him to the wolves, man. Damn, y'all hard. I get it, man. Y'all rough, cold blooded, man. Y'all rough, right? Ain't even played the whole season. Y'all like, man, he trash, man. You know, Drake London was having on his best season ever last year with this year with Michael Penix. One of his best seasons ever, man. I bet Drake don't think he's trash. They say Kirk is the damn man Arthur and for Mighty Ice. Man, you crazy. Kirk be gone. I can I bet a whole bunch of money that Kirk Cousins get cut by March 13th. I promise you that. He's not the guy. He's not the guy. And Matty Ice showed on when his old ass. Matty like, I had to retire early. You need to retire too. 38. Bye. Get out of here. 38-year-olds. He had his time. That dude won one playoff game. The richest quarterback in NFL history. $313 million. And ain't won but one or two playoff games. Get out of here, man. Like, what were we thinking in the first place? I don't know. Don't have a clue. But we did. We fell for the okie doke. That 5 game stretch that Kirk Cousins had last year was it. Started off 6-3, but that 5 game stretch that he had when he had one touchdown and 9 interceptions, that was it, man. It can't get no worse than that. That's all I gotta say. All right, last thing, guys. Last thing is retaining coaches. You know, I love this, right? Because the Atlanta Falcons blocked the Dallas Cowboys for trying to talk to Jeff Ulbrich. They blocked the Dallas Cowboys for trying to talk to Jeff Ulbrich, which means that how highly they think of Jeff Ulbrich, right? Trust me, if it was Jimmy Lake or somebody like that, he would have been out the door, right? But they like what he was able to do. The players like what he was able to do. Now it's still ultimately going to be up to whoever the new head coach is to retain him, right? They could bring in their own guy and stuff like that. Bring in a defensive minded coach. More than likely, Jeff Ulbrich going to be out, unless it's Robert Saleh, right? If you bring in a guy like Robert Saleh, right, to be the new coach for the Atlanta Falcons, well, I anticipate Jeff Ulbrich probably staying, right? But if it's another defensive minded coach, Jeff Ulbrich probably is going to be out the door, right? For the offensive minded coach, maybe we don't know. Now Arthur Blank said today he's not, you know, telling coaches they got to retain Jeff Ulbrich. He said they get to pick their own. They're going to be able to pick their own staff because that's their job, right? We talked about role clarity. Role clarity. The coach pick their own coaching staff, right? That's what it's going to be. He said he will recommend Jeff Ulbrich, but at the same time, the coach pick their own guys. So that's going to be the case here. But the fact that Atlanta Falcons want to retain some of these coaches, like in my opinion, Jeff Ulbrich, Nate Ali would be tremendous keeps, right? Depends on who the coach they're going to bring in. Um, Also, our offensive line coach as well, right? He's already came out and said that he wants to stay, right? So that's really good. If he wants to stay here with the Atlanta Falcons, and like I said, the new coaching staff, it's really going to be up to them whether they want to keep him or not. But between those three coaches, like I can't think of another coach that I'll be like, hey, let him stay. But between Nate Ali, our defensive line coach, Jeff Ulbrich, and then Dwayne Ledford, our offensive line coach, those three guys, if they want to stay, and like I said, it's up to the new coaching staff. Hey, I wouldn't be upset about that. Really, I wouldn't. I would really. So Eddie said, I was wondering if you saw that until the new coach don't want him. Yeah, like I said, yeah, it's going to be up to the new coach. It's going to be up to the new coach. We don't want you to get good defensive coaches in Dallas. Go back and get what's his name? The coach you had last year. Go back and retool him, get him again. Y'all don't need to get. We don't want it. We don't want Dallas to have a good defense. Sorry, keep sucking. We don't want Dallas to have a good defense. Um, Also, Blank will block anything Jerry asks for with their history. Yeah, forget Jerry. He took a shot at Jerry today too. If you didn't hear it, he said, yeah, I'm one of those owners. I don't meddle in football because I don't think you should be doing that. He don't think you should be doing that. But Jerry like, this is my team. I'm not going to sign my all world linebacker. I'm not going to sign him. I'm gonna have the worst defense in the world. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm I'm going to be the owner that has not been to an NFC Championship game in 30 years. 31. It's going on 31 years now, man. Dallas Cowboy fans are hilarious, right? As after all this America's team, and you know, a lot of your fans now don't even remember the Cowboys was good. A lot of your fans, a lot of the Cowboy fans don't even remember when their team was good. They don't even remember, man. That's how long it's been, right? They actually had VHS tapes when the Cowboys won. I mean, the cell phone wasn't even in existence yet. It's been that long, man. Like, I can't believe Cowboy fans still riding on those Super Bowls, man. That's crazy. That's insane. That's insane, man. Right? Still got your legends out there, talking. Troy Aikman, Michael Irvin. We don't hear that much from Emmett, but man, that's wild, man. I was just since Eddie in the chat, I just wanted to bash the Cowboys for a little bit, but but I just love the fact that we're going to try to retain some of these coaches, and that's the way it should be, because you don't know. Like I said, we talked about the positives and the negatives, that this team had. One of the positives was the way that Jeff Albrecht had this young defense playing, right? And it was in year one, right? And you expect, going from year one to year two, these guys being able to, know the system even in more depth, in and out, adding pieces to it, in the free agency and draft, right? Even making it better, right? That would be good. But at the same time, you don't tell a coach, who to bring in to be a defense coordinator. He might have a different vision, the way he see this thing going, right? And that's just the way it is. So 100%, we'll just have to wait to see um, what happened with these coaches. Now, at some point in time, as an organization, you don't want to try to black another man's blessing as well. So, like I said, um, I anticipate, within the next 2 weeks that we might see a coaching hire. Don't expect to see it like within like the next 5 days or anything like that. But you know, you can't hold these guys. Well, you can't. I guess you can hold them as long as you want to, right? Because they're on the contract. But at the same time, you want, like, if another guy got another opportunity somewhere, you're gonna let those guys go, right? So, um, and I know for a fact Jeff Albrecht has definitely been on multiple teams' radar. That was reported. So the fact that he's already been blocked just let you know how highly um, the Atlanta Falcons organization think of him, even without having those three new pillars in place to make something happen. So guys, there you have it for today. Um, what we heard from the owner Arthur Blank, coming out, giving his reasons for cleaning house, um, the roles that we're going to have for our new president of football, the GM and the head coach. Being able to be on the same page, having that clear vision of how to move this franchise forward. The fact that Arthur Blank came out himself, said he do believe that Michael Penix is a franchise quarterback. The question still remains is if the new GM, head coach, and president, feel the same way, and they're all going to, hitch their wagon to Michael Penix Jr. We're definitely going to be able to see that. And then the fact that we're trying to retain some of our coaches that's out here today. So we'll definitely play catch up. Hopefully, we hear something about the president within the next couple of days, and then we can move forward with the GM search and the head coach search, and get this thing rolling. Right there, you have it, guys. This is your boy Ricondo coming back at you with another video. Peace.